find, I'm always curious about this, because audiences are very different in different places. And since you do live, which is the most exciting type of work to do, I think, because you have to deal with the people. Do you find how it varies so much, or did you notice it like in different countries? Like I know in like Vienna and stuff, like if they really like it, they're all clapping in unison at the end and stuff like that. So did you find?
Yes.
And even in the United States, in different parts of the United States, people respond differently. How does that work for you? Or what was your most surprising form of appreciation, I guess?
I don't know if it was surprising. I mean, I mean, it was interesting. It was certainly interesting going to different cities and performing. You know, when I did the Chinese production of Hamlet, we did it in Shanghai, and then we were invited to the Grotowski Festival in Poland. So we went and did it there, and you know, it was this. We didn't have subtitles or surtitles. I mean, it was a full Hamlet production, all in Mandarin, in front of a very international audience, you know, a Polish and very international audience. And but because I suppose because it's Hamlet and everybody knows the story, it was, I mean, but the response was so interesting because Richard Schechner directed that piece, but he was working with a Chinese cast. And he very much wanted to bring in sort of Chinese elements. So, for example, the players were young children. They were sort of Chinese opera trained children, and they did it sort of in that tradition. And I played Ophelia in that. And we had sort of come up with this idea for the mad scene, for it to be a little bit like as if Richard had a remote control and was changing channels.
Oh, wow, so you were...
So it was very, it wasn't the sort of lyrical, sing-songy, lost Ophelia that I think, you know, you see a lot that's sort of written.
A little more techno-ish.
This was very, yeah, it was, and also because I spoke different languages, and yeah, I speak fluent Mandarin, but I also speak Cantonese because I grew up in Hong Kong, and I also learned a little bit of like singing in Chinese opera when I was in Shanghai rehearsing this. So we would go in and out of English, Cantonese, Mandarin. I learned a couple phrases in Shanghainese, you know, and this was all for the Ophelia Mad scene.
Wow.
And there was one performance that I remember that was very special, and where it just all came together and it hit, you know, all the choices just sort of, because this is the other thing about experimental theater, nothing's really set. You know, you sort of have, and then it's about just being in the moment and reacting and just sort of being a little crazy, you know. And but anyways, it all sort of worked. And then as I was walking off, I could hear this single applause. This one person was applauding, and the next thing I knew, I got off stage and I could hear the build up, and everybody was applauding, and they held until the applause died down before they continued with the scene. And I was like, oh, that was nice. But after the show, one of the backstage guys in Poland came up. He was like, you would not believe it. The person who started clapping is like a very, very famous Polish director. He's sort of like the grandfather of theater in Poland.
Wow.
And he just loved it. He loved that. He's like, I want you to know, because you should know that was very special. And it absolutely was.